Welcome back to Mastered, the Business of Music. Today, I sat down with Adam Gonshor, the founder of CollaboPR. Now, Adam's career started when he was interested in working in journalism. Journalism quickly transpired to publicity. He landed a job where he worked for a very long time at one of Canada's major record labels and now works on his own as a publicist. It's safe to say over the years he's worked with artists from the emerging category all the way up to superstars like Chantal Kreviazuk. And if you're thinking, oh my god, I don't know who that is, me either, you're right. Just kidding, educate yourself. Nonetheless, we talked a lot about how independent artists can figure it out themselves, when it's time to get a publicist, and everything in between. So here's my chat with Adam. I hope you learned something new today. Today, I've cornered Adam Gonshor from CollaboPR. Hi, Adam. Are you happy to be here?
Oh, hi, Jenna. Yes, absolutely. So happy to join you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I thought who better than you to talk PR, publicity, do's and don'ts, all those good things.
I can give you a list of 5 people better than me, but thanks for choosing me.
5 people better than you. You're right. I should have said, who better than Jess Seguar, but she's quite busy, so I asked you.
No argument.
No argument. I tried to get you to say you were better than her, and you were like, that's not what I said. Not even close.
No, I never would. Jess is at the top of her game.
Okay, I think the best way to start is you give us a little background into your career, how, one, you got into publicity, how you got into the label side, and now how you're running your own business. Just give us the short and sweet tea.
Sure. Well, I think I'll try to make this quick because I could go back all the way to high school when I thought I wanted to be a journalist. Ooh. And so I applied to what was then called Ryerson University, now TMU, and got into journalism and created a music website, which no longer exists, but was around for a while. It was called andpop.com. And we interviewed everyone from Taylor Swift to Hilary, Duff, to
You're lying.
Lots of people. No, for real. And it was fun. And it gave me an introduction to a lot of the music business that I hadn't thought of. So every artist that I'd interview would come with a publicist. And I quickly realized my heart is actually on the other side of things, not on the journalism side, but on the publicity side. So I realized at a young age I wanted to be a publicist. So switched careers a little bit, but eventually I landed at a record label where I started in marketing, but then a publicity position became open, so I went for it and got it. So I did publicity for the label for about 11 or 12 years and worked with everyone from international superstars to what I loved working with the most, Canadian artists, from the developing acts who were just starting out to more established acts who are known all across the country. And in 2023, at the top of the year, I started my own company, which you said is called CollaboPR. So I'm now continuing to do the job I love, publicity, working with lots of Canadians, still ranging from the ones that are just starting out to artists that hopefully a lot of people know, like Chantal Kreviazuk, Alan Doyle, and Corb Lund.
For people who are thinking like, maybe a career in publicity is for me, you went to school for journalism, but you didn't go back to school for anything else in order to work through marketing and publicity, right?
Right.
Do you feel like what's the value in the journalism degree you got anyways?
I definitely a lot of value because you got to see the world from that side of things. So now I still remember what I learned in university. And I was a journalist for a few years with the website. I also worked at a newspaper doing sports reporting, quite different than music. But I got to see the world from that point of view. So it really helped me now as I'm pitching them to know what they're looking for, because I remember what I was looking for back then.
Ooh, okay, that's smart. Actually, I think about that too when people are asking, like, as indies, who are like, should I reach out to people? I'm like, yeah, and make sure you tell them when your song is actually coming out, send a picture that's not grainy and awful, and perhaps, like, share your social media so we don't have to go find it, and I'll probably answer you. That's what I always tell people. That's the bare minimum, though. I want to be clear about that. Okay, so journalism, I love that you also had a blog. That's cool. Do you can we find it? Is it gone?
It's gone, but there are some things on Internet Archive. But we also videotaped a lot of our interviews, and those were erased from the internet. So I think I still have most copies. Probably not edited, but yeah, one day I should find that Taylor Swift interview because that would be cool to see.
I was thinking more the Hilary Duff one.
Oh my, I don't know if I would ever show that to someone. That was like one of my first interviews. I was like probably 17 or 18, and it can't be good.
It might be good for the time and the age. You should actually put a compilation together of all of these things. That'd be kind of cool.
Maybe I will one day.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm a little busy because I like to focus every spare minute on the artists that I work with.
You know what? That was a great PR answer.
I agree. And I'll also add about school, and you were kind of alluding to if you want to be a publicist, should you go to school for it? I think everybody, like you, like myself, we all have different paths to where we ended up. And I'm always fascinated by how somebody got to where they are, because it's not always, I went to school, I got a job, the end. There's always something a little bit different. So whether you want to become a publicist or whether you want to become something else in the music business or really any job, ask people who have that job how they got there. And maybe you'll be inspired by that, or it'll spark some ideas, because it's always different. And I'm always really interested to hear people's stories.
Yeah. I don't know anybody off the top of my head working in the music business who went to school for music business.
Yeah, very few.
I feel like those programs are sort of new too. But anyways.
A couple weeks ago, I spoke at a music class, music business class, for about an hour. And I probably should have ended with, and just by the way, nobody in this class will probably... No, that's not true. But yeah, you're right. There's very few that come from... Maybe because there's very few music business classes out there. And the ones that do, all kidding aside, they do produce some fantastic people who work in the music business. We might not know a lot of them, but they are there. Yes, there's lots that come from, I believe it's called Harris. There's lots of people from Harris that they graduate and get great jobs. So yeah. That is an option.
Totally. Don't go to school is what he's saying. No, I'm just kidding. And let's talk first about the independent artist, because that's who we want to help over here, and that's who you also love to help on your side as well. So I think it's easy to say when you're first starting out, you don't need to hire a publicist. You probably don't need to hire anybody when you're first starting out. What are a few key things from your perspective that independent artists should be doing, or the DIY artists should be doing, as they prepare their brand, their look, their voice, how they want to present themselves to the media?
To the media in particular, I think, number one, make sure you have your assets in order. And what I mean by that is whether you've decided that you're going to do some pitching, or whether you're going to, just sit back, work on your career, and maybe get approached by some media who want to talk to you. Either way, you've got to get your assets in order. So that means photos. Make sure that you have photos ready. So when it's time to do interviews, the media outlets have them available. And make sure you have a few different poses, a few different options. Maybe some are horizontal, some are vertical. You never know what the media is going to need. So make sure you supply them with a few different options. Another thing is a bio. You might not need a polished bio right away, but you need to give something to the people that are interviewing you so they're prepared. So a typical bio is somewhere between 800 to 1,200 words. Again, as if you're first starting out, you don't need to worry about the word count too much, but you do need to provide something so that the interviewers know a little bit more about you, and so you can kind of guide the interview to where you hope that it can go. The other thing similar to that is make sure you have something ready to that's prepared to talk about your new single or your new album or your new EP, whatever it is. So the interviewers have a pathway to, again, where you want to lead this conversation. Because if you don't provide them, if you don't provide them with that information, you might get questions that you didn't even think of, didn't expect, don't want to answer. But if you don't give them anything, yeah. So what do you expect if you don't give them anything? And also make sure your social media is up to date, because some interviewers are very lazy and they will go to your website and they will go to your social media, and that's it. You may have done interviews in the past and you might hope that they will read them. They probably won't. So make sure that your website's up to date with all the right information, or you'll get asked about old music. Make sure your social media has the right links, the right photos. And also, if you have a Wikipedia page, well, maybe we're a little bit more advanced now past just starting out. But once you get a Wikipedia page, make sure that is updated too, because again, they might go to that page and pull information from there. And if it hasn't been updated in 2 years, you're going to start talking about stuff that is behind you.
100%. I will say, as the person on the other side receiving those things, I Google your name sometimes. Whatever comes up first is my source of truth. Hopefully that's one of the things that you've put together, whether it's your website or social media platforms, I can at least find you.
And Jenna, understand, I wasn't calling you lazy, but that is a natural thing for the journalist to just Google and see what the most up-to-date thing is out there, and they might not realize that the stuff isn't up to date. So yeah, make sure you get those assets in order.
And the best way to control that, and so I don't go looking and find outdated stuff, I think, is when you're sending that pitch, just include all of the direct links that you want me to go to, because otherwise it's game over.
It shouldn't be a scavenger hunt. Make it easy for the media.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about the email people are sending, because I could give you 5 examples that are in my inbox right now of what not to do. Why don't you tell me what you're thinking when it comes to an independent artist who is pitching themselves? What's the best way to kick things off?
When pitching, what to do is keep it simple. Assume that you only have, if the media outlet opens your email, assume that you have their attention span for a few seconds. So make sure that you highlight why they should interview you really quickly. Put that at the top. Maybe make a bullet point list. But again, make it easy on them and make it easy on yourself by giving them those reasons why now is the time that they should pay attention to you.
Important. What about subject lines? Because I could read you some funny ones.
Subject lines, get to the point. Put your name in the subject line. Put the outlet name in the subject line. And if there's something that you really want them to pay attention to, like if you're coming to their town, if it's a local media outlet, put your tour date up there so that they know, oh, this is why I'm opening this email, because this person's actually coming to my town. Because the media outlets, whether they're local or national, get a ton of pitches every day. They're on a lot of email lists. They're on a lot of email lists they don't want to be on. They're opening up emails nonstop, or rather deleting them nonstop. So catch their attention. If they don't know your name, catch their attention by keeping it local, or if you're going to pitch something off the wall, like if you're into poker and you want to pitch a poker outlet, they probably also get a ton of emails that aren't relevant to them. So put in the subject line, hey, I'm a poker fan. Think about, put yourselves in their shoes. Think about what can I do to get them to open? What can people do to get me to open the emails, and do the same thing to them?
100%. Okay, I think there is a little bit of there's crossover with publicity, public relations, and social media. When you're looking at an artist and you're considering working with them, what are some of the things that you go take a look at on their social media and go, ick, no?
Ick or no? Okay, let me think about that for a second. I think when an artist approaches me to potentially work together, and I do definitely go to their social media, I don't care if they have 0 followers or 500,000 followers. What I'm looking for is that they're ready. They're ready for people to consume their art. They're ready for people to discover them. And if I go to your social media and it doesn't show me who you are, then you're a few steps behind and you're not ready for a publicist. You're not ready for a lot of things. Social media is so important now. Before you hire a publicist, before you think about radio, before anything, the goal at any moment in your career is, how do I get fans? So if people are discovering your music in some way, whether it's before you hire people, whether it's after, they're going to go to your social media, and you want to make sure that's the best representation of yourself. So if that's not ready, then they might wonder, well, what else isn't ready? Maybe it's not time to be a fan yet. So you got to assume that at any moment, there's a potential fan going to your social media. At any moment, there's a potential member of the media or member of the industry who are going to your social media. And that might be the first impression. So you want to make sure you get a really positive first impression. So make sure your social media is polished and ready to be consumed.
I just thought of an ick, and that is when people post everything in reel format, but the reel has nothing going on. It's just for the sake of it being a reel. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Do you
Yes, I
hate
do.
that? Do you hate that too, or is that just me being
No,
personal?
I do. I
Yeah.
do.
It's
Yeah.
confusing. It's a little bit weird. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Yeah. You know what artists should do? They should follow artists they like and see what they're doing. And they don't have to copy them, but they might be inspired by them, or they might just start living, breathing social media in a way they haven't before. So see what other artists are doing, and you can see what works, what doesn't work, and you can avoid the icks that turns Jenna off.
Thank you. That's very important.
You're welcome.
Okay, I want to go through some of those things that you think indies should be doing that are really key to getting their name out there. We're still pre-publicist. What should they be doing? Where should they be going?
Well, keep in mind what I said. The number one goal at any time in your career is get fans. So how am I getting fans? TikTok is the number one way, I believe, to get fans these days. If you're not on TikTok,
Isn't that unfortunate?
you're missing out on a lot of potential new fans. And, I'm still talking with artists who aren't on TikTok, and I ask why. And it's still the same answer that I heard 5 years ago. Well, I'm not really into dance moves, and it's not my thing. And then I ask them, are you on TikTok watching TikToks? No. Okay, so spend a few minutes on TikTok. At least spend a few days on TikTok. Eventually they will see that the algorithm is so sophisticated that it will start serving them videos that they want to see, not dance videos. And they will also start seeing other artists and what they do. And they'll realize quickly it's not about just dancing like it was when it first started, which it wasn't really, but that's kind of what broke through early on. So if you're not on TikTok, you're missing out on a lot of fans. And I'll say that a million times. But also, when you realize, okay, I'm going to try it, make sure it's comfortable for you. Something that you're just not going to give up on. You might post 100 videos and you're going to see very limited results. Or you might see very limited results, but don't let that turn you off. It takes time to build, and it takes time to find your voice, but it also takes time to find what makes it, what's comfortable for you. So don't dance. If you don't want to dance, don't dance. And don't just do things because it's trendy. Do things that are comfortable to you, or you're going to give up easily.
Yes. No more TikTok dances, please. Country singers, I'm looking at you.
Yeah. Now, if it's something they want to do, if they want to dance, let the kids dance. But you don't have to dance. You
don't have to dance. When we think about community and starting in your own community, how do you feel about that, and an artist building their local audience, their local awareness, that kind of stuff first? And how do they do that, in your opinion?
Great point and great question. And community, I think, can mean a few different things. Because community, yes, probably means local community. That's very important. You're not going to become a star overnight. Very few people do. And so you need to start somewhere. And word of mouth and, even on social media, it's going to grow when people start talking about you and sharing your content. So why not your local community? A lot of people who probably already know you. So don't ignore that. That's important. But also community could mean a different thing. It could mean some of your interests. So if you're a sports fan, your community could be, a baseball Facebook group or baseball TikTok or, something like that. So you can tap into that community of things you're interested in. There's an artist named Lights who's been around for many years, and she's tapped into the comic book community and done very well there. And, she's certainly become much bigger than just the comic book community, and she's certainly bigger than just her local community, but it starts somewhere. So yep. She did a great job with that.
Interesting. At first, I didn't even know that she did that. That's funny. Also, the Lights lovers and the Carly Rae Jepsen lovers are going to want to hit me, but I mixed them up.
Yeah, that's weird.
I know.
Because they're very different.
I know. Okay, let's move on to when someone like you comes in. When do you think, or what are some of the signals an artist should be looking for that's happening around them and in their career and then maybe in their inbox when it's time to hire a publicist or start to look into that?
I think when it feels like it's time that you have something to say and that you think more people than just by your local community or or just smaller media might be interested. It might be time, because you can only go so far. A lot of the media, it's about relationships. It's about people they know. And when publicists approach them, it's about the relationship with that publicist and the trust they have in that publicist. So when they get a pitch from a publicist, if they know that outlet and they know that name, that gives you a leg up than just someone that they have never heard of. So the number one thing that publicists are looking for in an artist, I believe, is the narrative, is a story. Do you have something to say? Without that, it's very hard to, to get interviews, because there's nothing to talk about. So even if you have the greatest music out there, and even if a publicist falls in love with your music, they're looking for, do you have something to talk about?
How do you know what a good publicist looks like versus what a maybe not such a great publicist looks like?
That's a really great question. And what I would say is, talk to your friends in the music business, talk to fellow artists, and see what sort of experience they've had, if they've had a publicist, or if they've hired services. And I think that's the best way to do it. Because you can talk to me. I'm always open to having a conversation with artists, and you don't have to hire me, but I can definitely tell you who's a good publicist and who to stay away from. There are very, very few bad publicists. There are really great publicists out there in the Canadian music businesses especially. And like me, they're not going to take you on unless they think they can bring value, unless they think that this relationship, that they can really help you. It's a partnership in many ways. And yes, you're paying the publicist, but they don't want to take your money unless they can deliver or have a good idea that they can deliver, because nothing's guaranteed. But yeah, things to look out for is, if you approach somebody and without even having much of a conversation, they are already saying, sure, I will be your publicist and take your money, that's a bad sign. It takes time to have a conversation, talk about strategy, talk about the music that you have coming out, talk about the timeline, your expectations, their expectations. If you're not even having that, and it's just a service out there that will take your money and send a press release, that's a big red flag. And there's companies like that out there. There's people like that out there. So be careful of them.
Important. Do you ever do like a trial situation with an artist where you'll say, like, let me do this campaign for you, or let's work on this campaign together and see if it makes sense for us to kind of form a longer term partnership?
I do, yeah. Not all publicists are like this. Some, even though they are excellent veteran publicists, they have a set structure for fees, and it's by the month or it's by the release. I don't. Because coming from a major label background, we had the luxury of time. And strategy. So I wasn't getting paid by the month by an artist. So I was able to look at a year timeline and say, you know what, even though you have a song coming out now or in 3 months, why don't we wait 6 months? For whatever reason, there might be some strategy involved there. And so I kind of like to have that ability now on the independent side to put some strategy in it. So every artist that I work with, I structure it a little bit differently. So on a trial basis, on maybe just a single, yeah, I have done that. If it didn't look like they're ready or I'm ready to commit to something that's a longer term, then yeah, I would look at something shorter term.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Okay. Last thing, would love to hear some of your, like, whether they're like your icks or things that you just don't think artists should be doing, or things that they should be prepared for when they're talking on the internet, talking to press, sharing their opinions.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is politics. It's a very difficult topic for someone in the public eye to put out there. So what I tell artists is, I really never want to tell you don't say something, but I want you to be prepared. So if there's some artists out there who want to make it known their political views or their views on something else that might be a little controversial, I want to make sure that they have a conversation first with their team members, not just me, but whoever's around them, and be prepared for the repercussions that might come from it. So for instance, if you want to put out there that you're left-leaning or right-leaning, whatever the case, just be prepared that you might be alienating 50% of your crowd. So are you prepared to do that? You also might now start getting questions in the media when you do interviews about something that you said. So are you prepared to back that up? So what we've seen over the last few years, it's very easy to see something that someone posted and decide, I'm going to post it on my Instagram stories. And it was so smart. I'll just leave it at that. But it's never left at that. If you're going to post something like that, then be prepared to have a conversation about it and to back up your feelings. And if you're not, then maybe it's not the right time to get into your political views or your views on other controversial topics or anything like that.
What about, have you seen like some of the artist feuds that occur and you're like, this is stupid? Do you like, have you had to deal with that? And are you like, why are you putting this on the internet?
Yes. I have worked with artists who were in feuds with other artists, and some went public and some didn't. And as a publicist or a team member, you want to try to end that as quickly as possible because it never ends well. And look, I mean, I've never been involved in a feud as high profile as Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Certainly not as big as that. I mean, probably nobody has. So, I mean, I can't relate to what their publicists must be going through watching the Super Bowl and seeing your client be accused of being a pedophile. Like, that's nuts. That's a whole other level. So no, not that high profile. But yeah, there's some artists who are feuding, and some get out there and some don't. But try to squash that as soon as you can, because ultimately people just want to have a career and they just want to entertain people. And if you're on the other side of things, you're not an artist, you just want to keep doing the things that you love to do. So there's really no reason to feud with people. There's no reason not to be nice. I mean, now I'm just taking it on a very simple level. No matter who you are, why not just be nice? So anything can be, I don't know if I'm answering a question in particular, but yes, certainly have seen feuds. And hey, as a publicist, you probably don't want it to get out there. So part of the job is to talk to your artist and say, this is going to be trouble for you if it gets out there. I might not be able to squash the beef. That might be on you to do. But as your publicist, I'm going to ask you, can you please not talk about it? Okay. And you know what? I'll add something. I've worked with a lot of artists, and very, very rarely am I instructed by their manager or whoever's in charge to tell the media that they can't ask about something. It's very, very rare. So that it just reminds me of like, if you're going to have a feud, does that mean that's going to lead to me now having to tell the media before every interview that they're not allowed to talk about it, or that we don't want them to talk about it? And by the way, most media aren't going to agree to these terms. We're entertainment. This is entertainment.
Fair. I've never been told I can't ask about a topic, but I feel like if there was a time where I was, I'd be like, we'll see. I want the views.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Final and fatal question then.
Fatal? You didn't tell me this could be fatal.
What's your take on the statement, all PR is good PR?
That's a great question. Well, no, it's not. It's not the case. I don't know if that's ever the case. I mean, again, look at Drake. Like, he's really been killed by this bad PR, and his career has taken a little bit of a hit. Now, he can come back strong. I really think he will, and I think he'll be the same guy that he was 2 years ago, and he's going to sell out arenas, and he's going to sell out stadiums, and he'll do whatever he wants. But right now, it's not looking good for him. So no, it hasn't been good PR for him. And just like it's not going to be good PR, we'll go back to the politics. But I mean, if you're a high profile artist like Carrie Underwood, and you decide that now's the time that I'm going to be open about being a Republican, that's your choice, and that's fine. And people have political views. But now there are going to be people out there that are saying, I don't want to ever stream your music again, and I don't want to support you at your concerts. And you might not care, but was that good PR? I don't know. Did it get you more fans on the other side? Maybe. I don't know who's counting, but yeah, I mean, in that case, that's
tough to say.
I wouldn't say that's good PR.
No, it isn't. All right, Adam.
Yes.
Appreciate you answering all my questions, the ones I gave you a little bit of preparation for and the ones that I thought of on the spot. What's your parting words for specifically the indie artist who's trying to make it and wants to make a good name and wants to give a good impression?
My parting words are that you should understand that when you're entering a relationship with a publicist, it's not going to be automatic. So you can't decide one day, now's the time I'm going to hire a publicist. It's not like Jiffy, the Jiffy app, where if you need cleaning done or you need an electrician to come, they're not just going to pop up at your career and agree to work with you. You need to enter a relationship at the right time. And again, I'm going to go back to the point about don't waste your money. Wait till it's the right time. Don't just give your money to the first person who's going to take it. Talk to your friends, talk to other people. Make sure that you are communicating with the right people. I'm not going to say it's me, but it might be other publicists. Might be for some people. But yeah, you're going to be spending money. So make sure it's going to the right place at the right time, and that you're going to benefit from it. And I'll also say, don't rush. You want a long career. It might not happen in the first year, it might not happen in the first 5 years, but don't force anything, don't rush, be authentic.
Love it. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you for having me. I don't think I've done an interview in a long, long time.
This is Mastered by Front Porch Music. Join Logan Miller and Jenna Weishar, the hosts of CCMA-nominated On the Porch with Front Porch Music, for this mini-series podcast offering crash courses on the ins and outs of the music industry. Expert guests from across the Canadian music landscape sit down with Jenna and Logan to discuss labels, getting your shows booked, landing festival slots, A&R, social media, and so much more. Mastered by Front Porch Music is a Front Porch production, hosted by Logan Miller and Jenna Weishar. Mastered by Front Porch Music is produced by Logan Miller, Jenna Weishar, and Jason Saunders. The theme song for this podcast was written, produced, and performed by Keith Hunt.